And it looked like Chennedy Carter has finally broken her silence about this Caitlin Clark situation. Chennedy Carter just jumped out the window and justified an assault on Caitlin Clark.
The WNBA season is just weeks away, and nearly every high-profile free agent has signed, except one, Chennedy Carter. Yes, the same Chennedy Carter who made headlines last June with that infamous shoulder check on Caitlin Clark.
Can you break down that situation that happened?
Yeah. So, in basketball a little bit, there's things called talking, what you like to call smack or whatever everybody likes to call it.
Yeah.
Plays before things are said, you know, that's a part of basketball.
As Caitlin Clark gears up for her sophomore season, riding a wave of skyrocketing popularity, Chennedy Carter finds herself defending her actions on streaming platforms. She insists the incident was just basketball, just a small tap, but WNBA teams don't seem convinced. So, what's really going on here? Is this karma? Is it fair? Or is Carter being made an example of serving as a warning for how players are expected to treat the league's new superstar? Let's break it all down.
So we know Chennedy Carter has always been kind of up against the fence. We're speaking about this Caitlin Clark situation. We remember when she first got asked about this during a press conference, she stated that she wasn't going to speak on Caitlin Clark. Now we know months later, she still hasn't spoken on the whole situation. That is until today. Yes, Chennedy Carter finally broken her silence about the Caitlin Clark hip check.
Remember that moment last June when Chennedy Carter deliberately rammed into Caitlin Clark? What should have been just another regular season matchup between the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever turned into the incident that would ultimately come to define Carter's career.
And Clark. I mean, that's clearly a foul, which was called. The question is, will they call it unnecessary? Chennedy Carter.
Let's break down exactly what happened, frame by frame. After scoring a basket, Carter didn't head back on defense. Instead, she veered sharply across the court, clearly targeting the unsuspecting Clark. There was no basketball logic behind her path. The replay shows Carter mouthing a few choice words, locking eyes with Clark, and then delivering a hard shoulder check that sent the rookie crashing to the hardwood. To anyone watching, the deliberate nature of the contact was undeniable.
So she was signed to the Chicago Sky with Teresa Weatherspoon, with Angel Reese, with Camila Cardoso, and, you know, the rest of the folks. And then we get to the body check. This was originally ruled an away from the ball foul, but it was obviously a flagrant foul. It really upset a lot of people, which really escalated the issue. And it was really just poor sportsmanship on Kennedy's part.
So Chennedy Carter was signed to the Chicago Sky, alongside Teresa Weatherspoon, Angel Reese, Camila Cardoso, and the rest of that stacked roster. Then came the body check. Originally ruled an away from the ball foul, it was pretty clearly a flagrant. The call, or lack thereof, sparked outrage and took the whole situation to another level. It rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, and honestly, it came off as plain poor sportsmanship on Kennedy's part.
It's one thing pushing Caitlin Clark, and it's another thing blindsiding her. Like, I don't think there's no justification for that. Like, to be honest, we can be honest here.
What's particularly telling is how officials initially labeled it as just a common foul, a routine call you see dozens of times a game. But once they reviewed the footage, they didn't hesitate to upgrade it to a flagrant. The replays don't lie. This wasn't incidental contact in the middle of a play. This was an off-ball, intentional hit delivered after the basketball action had already wrapped up.
Now, what little girl wants to grow up and play in a league where you're targeted like that? How do you sit here and profess and demand that everyone take women's sports seriously when you can't even take it seriously enough to not act like a junior high queen on the court? It's stupid. That's so dumb. It looks like a soap opera.
Clark's response said everything about her character. Despite being blindsided and knocked to the floor, she didn't argue, didn't make a scene. She just got up, brushed herself off, and got right back to the game. No theatrics, no retaliation, just pure professionalism. Meanwhile, commentators and fans were outraged, clearly recognizing that what they'd seen wasn't basketball. It was a deliberate act, an attempt to intimidate, maybe even injure another player.
Atlanta Dream did suspend her in the middle of the sophomore season, basically saying she was a detriment to the team and the team culture. So then the Atlanta Dream decided to trade her to the Sparks, the Los Angeles Sparks.
This wasn't Carter's first rodeo when it comes to on-court issues. When we look at her past, a pattern starts to emerge, one that became a major talking point after the Clark incident. Back in 2021, during her time with the Atlanta Dream, Carter was suspended indefinitely for what the team described as conduct detrimental to the team. The suspension followed a heated argument that reportedly escalated beyond acceptable limits. It was a moment that raised serious red flags about her professionalism and her ability to operate within a team environment.
What's crazy about all of this, immediately after that push, this is what she said to the media.
Kind of on the play before bumping in with Caitlin, it seemed like she turned to you a little bit after the fever
I
score.
didn't answer no Caitlin Clark questions.
Did she say anything to you?
I don't know what she said.
What'd you say to her?
I didn't say anything.
The timing couldn't have been schlechter for Carter. The WNBA is in the midst of unprecedented growth, shattering viewership and attendance records, much of it fueled by Caitlin Clark's arrival. The league is rightfully guarding that momentum, putting a strong emphasis on professionalism as it steps further into the mainstream spotlight. In that context, the Sky Forward's actions stood in stark contrast to the image the league is working so hard to cultivate.
I said Chennedy Carter wasn't going to make a WNBA roster. And as it sit, April 20th, training camps start for teams in 7 days. Training camp for a majority of the WNBA start April the 27th. Chennedy Carter is not on any WNBA roster. Want to know why? Because it's Chennedy Carter's fault she's not on any WNBA rosters.
Carter would later try to explain herself, but by then the damage was already done. That shoulder check wasn't just a routine foul or an isolated lapse in judgment. It became a career-defining mistake, one that shifted her image from a promising talent to a player teams are now hesitant to touch. Now, as she finally breaks her silence, we'll break it all down. Yes, basketball is physical, competitive, and intense, but there are unwritten rules, lines that define the difference between tough play and unnecessary aggression. Carter didn't just cross that line, she bulldozed through it, and the WNBA's unified response, it makes one thing clear: the league is serious about protecting both its players and its evolving image.
If that happens, think the next play down, maybe something was said, and then maybe there was like a little clip of somebody like yelling in my face, and then we go down the court, then I hit like a little bucket, you feel me, come down, hit like a little nice little mid-range pull-up, and then I just like, just give her like a little like, I'm here, like, I don't think it was. You know what's crazy? Me and my brother went back and watched, and we seen a lot of clips in the NBA of guys getting like pushing LeBron. Like I think it was Jeff Teague or somebody who like pushed LeBron out of bounds, like said, man, I was mad because like we couldn't stop him.
The unwritten boundaries Carter crossed have left her career hanging by a thread. Now she's desperately trying to rewrite the narrative before it slips out of her grasp entirely. Just days ago, with training camp fast approaching and no contract in sight, she sat down for an interview with streamer Neon. An interview that has basketball fans everywhere shaking their heads in disbelief.
This is crazy, and this changes everything. Because all this time, we've been waiting on Chennedy Carter to take responsibility for what she did to Caitlin Clark. It shows me, I ain't even got to watch all this footage right here, but I am going to look at it. But it's showing me right now that she still is not taking responsibility for her actions. She's finna blame this whole situation on Caitlin Clark supposedly talking smack to her.
Basketball executives know that talent alone doesn't win championships. Team dynamics, locker room culture, and player relationships matter just as much in a sport where 5 people must operate as a cohesive unit. Carter's situation shows how quickly a promising career can unravel when a player earns a reputation for prioritizing personal vendettas over team success. As the WNBA gears up for what's set to be its most watched season ever, the contrast between the league's brightest star and its most notable absence couldn't be more striking. While Clark's star power is fueling this unprecedented growth, Carter's absence serves as a powerful reminder that talent alone isn't enough. The league has made its priorities clear, protecting the professionals who embody its values and vision for the future, even if it means leaving scoring talent on the sidelines. Let us know in the comments below if you believe Chennedy deserves to be on a team. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in